you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
Yes, Natalie, I would agree with that. That's a great statement.
Allow me to be frank and potentially a little bit inflammatory, but
Hopefully some faculty do see this. Shoo!
yeah.
Thank you, Natalie. My next step after graduation is this summer I'm going to be working at a kids camp, and I'm going to be taking kids on like 4-day little backpacking trips. And then
Where is this camp?
this camp is at Lake Tahoe,
Awesome.
Zephyr Point. And then after that, you know, who knows? That might be it.
So I will be taking a gap year, pay off some loans.
Yeah.
We got those, right?
Yeah.
And
we do have those.
I'm
Unfortunately,
be doing work. I am pursuing work in the like nonprofit sector in Louisville. It's where all my like background and stuff is in terms of like internships and like my personal interests.
Yeah.
Definitely part of that 44% myself. Been job hunting
Yeah.
unsuccessfully, you know. I'm sure we'll get to it later, but right now it's not really a great time to be applying to nonprofit work for some pretty glaringly obvious reasons, you know?
I'm sure there's
Yeah.
definitely some stressors
Yeah.
that are existing right now.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean that doesn't surprise me. I think it is maybe jarring because I think a lot of the stuff we see at Center, right, is like emphasizing things like career readiness, professional development,
Yeah.
all of the like highlights that students get are usually, you know, around things like, oh, getting into a great fellowship or internship or job offer. And those are great. I celebrate my fellow students when I see those. But I think it can also be, you know, a little difficult when you're a part of that 40 or 44%, you know, still feeling things out. It's important to keep that perspective.
No, yeah, because it also is validating.
Honestly, it does surprise me a little bit. Not the post-summer plan part, but the summer plan part. Mostly because in my mind we were all gonna go home and then realize that we haven't been paying rent and that we need to get jobs. But I'm not surprised at all by the no plans post-summer, just because I feel like that comes with like that's just a group of people like me who are, maybe have like a idea of what we want to do, but we're not feeling the rush necessarily. But also things are uncertain right now, so I'm sure we're all in the same boat of just need to get home, get out of here, and then find our footing.
Yeah.
We're all feeling slightly pessimistic, I think, about the administration and the economy. I thought it was interesting that the administration and the economy have like the same distribution, which I'm not totally surprised. Those things are going like hand in hand right now in the state of the world. Thank you. I think we're feeling more anxious about the short term just because we have this added pressure of becoming really hyper independent right now. And maybe we're feeling optimistic about as things continue in the long term, but right now we're feeling the added stress of like entering into these political, economic climates like essentially on our own.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in agreement with the majority of folks. Maybe not on, I think more folks are less pessimistic than I am about the state of the world question, but in terms of the general trends, I'm not super thrilled with the current administration, not super hopeful about the projection of certain things. It doesn't mean that we quit doing the good works and all that good jazz, but not thrilled about the state of the world at the moment.
Can you give any more specifics on that?
I mean, for me specifically, right, I hinted at it earlier, like applying to nonprofit work right now, or like federally funded grant funding stuff is really tough. Like I did an internship at Kentucky Refugee Ministries that I found really like life-giving and important to me. And like they are actively in a hiring freeze, and they're going to be downsizing the same way that they had to during the last Trump administration. And in fact, the immigration and refugee quotas got cut so much 2016 to 2020, it took basically the entirety of the Biden presidency to get back to pre-Trump levels of operation, and we're going to see that hit again. So basically this place that I was really interested in working at and really wanting to pursue is now just like the way I think my career is going to pan out, or hope that my career pans out. I will never get like that opportunity, which sucks, you know. I think one of the things that I find most disappointing is just kind of the general vibe on campus seems pretty apathetic. Like we have a pretty blasé attitude, I think, among students and faculty about what's happening in the world, and I don't think we factor that in enough to like the way that we run things here at the college.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. In terms of that, like, yeah, I'm gonna be like a strong like job candidate, or I'm gonna be like ready for when I enter the workforce, or when I do pursue grad school. Like I'm already reading certain texts like an undergrad that like I know are pretty common at the graduate level and the fields that I pursue. So like it's not like in terms of like actually being able to maybe do the work or pursue certain opportunities like that's good. I feel like ready to be like a worker or a graduate student. So good job, Center.
Good.
Center's done a lot of things well for me. I think my biggest takeaway from Center is, you know, hate to tripe on the liberal arts education, but I will, because I think that I'm such a better critical thinker since I've been here, and since we've had so many different classes and different disciplines, I feel like I have just enough like sprinkled perspective from so many different areas that I'm able to be more critical when I form my own opinions.
Yeah.
Doctrina Lux Mentis, all that good jazz, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
crushed it. Good job, Center.
Yes, DLM.
But, yeah, I'm a DLM advocate for sure. Most Center College students are pretty neurotic and are pretty emotionally underdeveloped.
Okay.
There's this feeling that right now I'm somebody, and in 3 weeks I'm moving back into my childhood bedroom, and that's like, that can be jarring, right?
Yeah.
And these aren't necessarily bad things, because really what I think the college is underprepared is for, what I think it's lost in all of its career readiness, professional development stuff, is the fact that that whole mindset's wrong. We're always somebody. We always have value, right? It's like you don't have to have a certain GPA number, or you don't have to have a certain amount of LinkedIn connections to like have a feeling of self-worth and value. And I think sometimes some of that gets lost in stuff. And I also think that there's a certain level of like, again, just like ability to like understand and control and work through your emotions, and through your like thought processes, that I think just like most Center students don't have.
If you treat someone like something, then they might become that thing. And that, you know, if we're treated like we are not responsible enough to do, you know, regular basic things like light a candle in your room. And I understand, you know, fire hazards, those sorts of things. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have those restrictions in place for like the type of housing that we live in.
Yeah.
But it is, I think, just the product of the type of housing that we live in this environment that we're in, where we are not really functioning as like independent adults, like we financially and otherwise. I think we have many good skills for class and school, but a lot of people lack the skills that come with integrating yourself into a community in a grown way, and networking within your environment, and knowing what's going on in your local politics and things like that. That's, I feel like I was on a soapbox, but that's my opinion.
Allow me to be frank and potentially a little bit inflammatory, but like I think the faculty at Center College have like a real responsibility and obligation to like do their jobs now more than ever.
Okay.
Right? there's a level of like ignorance on this campus that exists because of faculty's either inability or reluctance to have certain conversations in the classroom. And I think this goes into things like preparedness outside of center. Every center college student is gonna find a job, right? Every center college student is gonna find future schooling or whatever, right? I feel very strongly about that. Okay, so like maybe take a second to quit worrying about like, you know, internships or resumes and actually worry about center college students not as future workers but as future citizens. All right, I'm not asking all of my professors to be like card-carrying members of the Communist Party of America, but I am asking them to engage their students in a way that's actually meaningful, right? And ways that fit within their subject. When you walk into the rat lab, right, we should start having conversations about how the NSF and the NIH getting cut might make certain institutions unable to keep having rat labs, right? When you're walking into your B&B class, your biology class, there needs to be conversations about how cancer research in this country is about to be stunted, or there needs to be conversations about how certain researchers can't feel comfortable or safe doing their research because they are at risk of illegal deportation by having their student visas or their work visas or their green cards revoked unjustly, right? There needs to be conversations about how when we walk into an abnormal psychology class, hey, the current administration does not understand autism, and it does not understand like the things that lead up to autism, and their current rhetoric around things like mental health is at best like apathetic and at worst straight up like eugenics, right? You know, we need to have talk to your students about things in your subject that you care about that are actively being affected, because there is a real obligation for a psychology student to be politically like intelligent and to be politically cognizant, right? There is a real need for STEM students, for humanities students, for social studies students, for any person like alive in the country right now to kind of like know what's happening. And like, if I'm being just 100% real, I think those conversations are going to be infinitely more important than any one piece of material that you're stressing to get to in a classroom setting.
I think that most of these fears that we're having feel really daunting right now, but I mean, it's change. We're going to be fine. I think that we're capable, and things are pretty miserable right now the way that they are. I know that for my career field that I want to do, I'm going to probably have to do a lot of pivoting in the next few years.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But a lot of people are doing this.
Yeah, this
we're
is
all
true.
Pivoting.
Yeah.
But I do feel like because we have these skills of being critical thinkers, I think that we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out. I feel like we're very well educated here, and
I agree.
yeah, we have the tools. You know, we can cook for ourselves. They have YouTube, like
Yeah.
yeah.
If you can't figure out how to boil pasta.
Sheesh, I don't.
Jeez.
That would be pretty unfortunate. Yeah, I think that my final thought is that I think we're gonna be okay, and I think that things are scary now, but change is always scary. We were
Change is
scared,
necessary.
and we're young. Yeah, we're very like we're just figuring it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
That's my final thought. Thank you, Natalie. Do you have any final thoughts?
Just how grateful I am that you came to talk with me today. Yay!
Whether this gets out or not, I guess that was thanks for therapy, Natalie.
No, that was
and
good. Thank you,
yeah. So yeah, do your jobs, professors.
There you have it. Do your jobs. Have hard conversations. Yeah, thank you for sharing your perspective. Hopefully some faculty do see this. Shoo!
Yeah.
Well, let's just like say like goodbye to the people.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Thanks for educating us.